Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Dearest podcast. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Simone.
Today, we're going to be talking about social expectations and social norms. Just because I'm a college student and I'm a college student that hates going out. Truly, and in my core, I don't enjoy it. I have fun occasionally, but you know where I'd rather be? In my bed.
And I'm a 51-year-old woman, and I would tend to agree with you. My preference would be sitting on the couch, drinking a glass of wine, and watching a movie. But
It's more acceptable for you to do that, though, than it is for
that's
me.
that is true. That is true. I mean, I try to be in the acceptable range. But yeah, no, it is it is a hard thing, right? To figure out like first of all, for you, you started college during COVID. Like
Mhm.
literally, you started and the school was actually shut down. You did,
Yeah, so the only thing that was the dorms were open, one dining place on campus was open, and I think that's it. I think most classes were online. If you were lucky, maybe you got one in person, but even then, it was hybrid, so it was like a weird kind of transition of like the Zoom kids on the screen and then everyone in the classroom. But that really prohibited going out in general, whether that was for fun during the day or fun during the night. So honestly, for me, my best memories from freshman year were Times Square because that was the only time Times Square was empty, like ever. I haven't been
yeah.
back. Sometimes I go just to walk through, just to like feel like gross and be like,
To
okay,
to freak yourself out by the guy in the gorilla suit that
oh my
scares the crap
god,
out of you.
yeah, you guys already know I hate gorillas. So, but going from that kind of COVID of, well, what are we going to do this weekend? Well, I guess we can go to Central Park to, oh, what club do you want to go to this weekend? Is a really hard transition. And I've never been a social individual. That doesn't mean I love to talk. Everyone knows I love to talk. This is like a straight fact of life. And I love to talk to new people, but I find it exhausting. Um, I like, it's just not where I get my energy from. I'm definitely an introvert.
So I call myself an extroverted introvert. So once I'm out there, it's like I can make it happen, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and I love to hear people's stories. Like I love to obviously I love to share my story because that's what I do as a speaker. But I love to hear other people's stories, but sometimes it's hard when you are like to put yourself out there. So it's once you get there, I think like that might be a little bit easier, but it's like taking that first step to actually get there. Like, right? Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, we're making plans and we're going to go out at 9 o'clock tonight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 9 o'clock's my bedtime.
Exactly. I'm in bed by 9. Keep it on, keep it bright.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard. And again, I think that the lockdown from COVID, especially for you guys in New York City, and obviously many places around the world had very serious lockdowns. It's like kind of hard to find your groove, or maybe you realize that you really like staying home now instead of like spending a ton of money and going out and there's a lot of factors involved.
Yeah, I in high school I was never I had a solid group of friends and they would definitely force me out of the house, but it was forcing me out of my house to go sit in their house. So it wasn't
Pretty
like going
much,
out
pretty
and doing
much.
anything.
Yeah.
Because granted, like Sarasota is not the most teen friendly city in the world. Um, but that definitely, and COVID as well, those two factors really made me more of a homebody. I love to like go out and try new things during the day, but once the sun starts setting, I get tired. I feel like I've been an old lady since birth. Dad always used to say that I was the only kid that tucked myself into bed at night because I would just go up when I was tired.
Well, Ari does it as well. Like he'll even do it at a friend's house. He'll be like, he's invited for a sleepover. I mean, he's 18 now, so you don't call it a sleepover, but he's going to hang out at a friend's house, and they're all like, we want to go out and do this, and he's like, I'm going to bed. See you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like so, you guys are very similar souls in that way, where you know what you want. Like if you're tired, you're not going to let anybody peer pressure you into doing well, at least most of the time, doing
yeah.
something that you don't want to do.
And that's
You know?
really what I wanted to talk about today is peer pressure, but also this concept of FOMO, so fear of missing out. which I don't know if it was necessarily a thing during your generation or your time growing up because you didn't have the social media like we did. But
Yeah.
I know sometimes I just post pictures, like fake photos, not even fake photos, but like I was out to dinner with you guys and I just posted the picture of the restaurant we were at, kind of to like show off a little bit. And that's what FOMO is all about. People on social media are just showing off, so other people get envious.
Okay, first of all, let's not do that anymore because that's kind of annoying to me. But, if you want to post a picture because you love being with me,
Well,
that's
it
one
wasn't even a
story.
picture of you. It was it
Ah,
was a restaurant I was
okay.
at.
But I mean, you see it all the time though, right? Like people are posting stuff just to get the attention because they were, somewhere and they want people to see that they were there. And were they actually having a good time? I don't know. Like it's just that whole point
Yeah.
of showing that you were somewhere, which I don't know if that's I kind of feel like that's a crappy thing, right? Like, and I think social media in general has like really stressed our society that what's real and what's not, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many pressures around it that it's kind of fascinating to me because no, this did not exist. FOMO was not a phrase
Yeah.
when I was your age. Um, and we didn't have the internet to post, we didn't have social media to post things on to show it. We had to take actual camera photos that you had to print out and wait like multiple weeks to get back.
And
So,
now for us, that's like a little
yeah.
fun activity. Oh, I bought a film camera. Let's go take some photos. I think that's
which
really funny.
which is really funny. So we're leaving we're going on a trip next week and
I'm not going.
I know
Just
you're
so
not
everyone
going.
knows I wasn't invited. I mean, I am in school.
Oh
I was
my
invited. I
gosh,
was
you
invited.
were
I was invited.
invited.
We're on the phone with Millie last night and she's like, "Are you going to surprise me and come?" And I was like, "Millie, I mean, I have classes."
Yeah. No, so you're not surprising her. She's very disappointed about that.
I
But
know.
what did
So
she ask
upset.
for the trip? She's like, "Can we go by Target and get a couple of disposable cameras?" And it's like a really funny thing to me because what I love now is, and I know we're getting off track, but what I love now is digital, right? Like you can take
Mhm.
60 of the same photo and pick the one that you like. Where when you have, a film camera or a disposable camera, you take one and that's it. That's what you get.
I
So,
will say, going for the film cameras, though, I enjoy it more than taking regular photos because of that societal pressure to have the perfect photo to
mhm.
post. But with film cameras, yeah, not all of them turn out good, but they're all kind of just good memories because you're capturing it without even thinking about it.
Ooh, I really like that. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. Yeah. So, anyways, we're going to go get some disposable cameras for our trip.
Oh, that's so
Um,
funny.
okay, so backtrack.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to get back to FOMO because
yeah.
freshman year, I don't know if you remember, but before I'd made my super solid group of friends, that I have now, I was experiencing extreme social anxiety. And part of that can be attributed to like the fear of missing out. I mean, I was in New York City, I was alone for my first time. And all I was doing was staying in my dorm room. And especially in New York, in these big cities, when there's thousands of things to do, you feel this pressure of, oh my gosh, like, yes, I need a break from school. I just need some alone time, but I'm supposed to be out there and I'm supposed to be trying new things and I'm supposed to be working and I'm supposed to be achieving my goal, even though I was 17. And it took me a while to realize, I was like, what is going to be best for myself? And what's going to be best for myself is recognizing when I need my alone time and I need
Mm.
my, my screen time, I guess. I definitely describe myself as a screenager. Uh,
Yes.
but sometimes I just need to sit in bed and mindlessly scroll because that's just how I recharge myself.
Is there a new term for that now that, at 20, is it because screenager, you're
Well,
no longer a teenager. What do
I
you call
guess
it
you're
now?
right. I don't know. I guess I have to look at that, but
Okay, think about it
I think
because
like the whole concept is only for like teenagers, and this is like a whole new exploration as my generation and my age group, moves on to their 20s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have that. You hung out with people or you were on your home phone. Literally, I would be on my home phone for hours. It's like, why? I mean, I just
Yeah,
left
but
these
what were you
people at
talking
school.
about?
I don't even know. I don't even remember, but that's what you did. So maybe that was the FOMO piece is that if you weren't on the phone with someone every night, then, you were missing out, that you weren't doing it right. Um,
Yeah.
but,
And
yeah,
no, go
go
ahead.
for
I was
me, like now, I was going to say, like, I can't imagine the pressures that you're under. I mean, even as an adult, I feel like these pressures to conform to what society wants. And I'm too old for that. I'm not doing that anymore. But as someone who's younger, like there's a lot of pressure, and there's like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, and sometimes for me it feels like, okay, well, I have to pick at least one event to go to so I can show my face. But people should stop going to things that they don't want to go to,
Yeah.
unless it's like obviously like if it's a part of your job or whatever, whatever. But like, I don't know, social events that you truly don't want to be at. There's, I want in 2023 to get rid of my fake niceness, and that's not saying like I want to start being like a mean person. No, I'm genuinely actually working on being really nice, like real nice. So
It's like a
instead
10-step plan for her.
yeah, I mean, truly. But getting rid of like the formalities, and I'm if you don't want to talk to someone, odds are they don't want to be talking to you either. Like,
Yeah,
there's no point in doing the.
but
It's
sometimes you
kind of
don't know that you want to talk to them. So I read two interesting things today. One was I read that I forget who posted it, but it was about that if you have an optional, like a work event, like an event, a work event
mhm.
dinner or something like that, that people shouldn't be required to come unless they're getting paid. Like you're putting them in this socially awkward situation. And like if I think back to all of the times where, you know, we've so for your dad's work where he's had like a holiday party or something like
Mhm.
that, and people show up and they bring their spouses, and it's always super awkward for them because like they feel like they need to be there, and yes, they're getting a really nice dinner and that should be fun, but then they have to talk to people that they don't really want to talk to. And
Yeah.
so actually the last couple of years they haven't done it, and I actually think it's better. I was like, give them a bonus instead of,
Well, and
or give
that's
them
what
a bigger
people really
bonus.
want.
Yeah,
They
instead of,
would prefer a larger bonus to take the people they want to go out to dinner with, rather than going out to dinner with strangers.
yeah, and having to dress up to go out to dinner with strangers. I mean, like,
I would say dressing
hello.
up for me, we don't have to get into this in this episode, but I love clothes and I love fashion, but I also really struggle with my body image. So unless I have the perfect outfit on, it really deters me from going out,
Mm.
which is one of the reasons like I like staying in so much, because I feel so much more comfortable with myself when I'm in my sweatpants. Like I like, and I'm able to just enjoy myself more.
Okay,
I
what
don't
are you
know.
wearing? What are you wearing right now? Just out of curiosity. You're wearing a very cute
I'm
shirt.
wearing a nice top. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing sweatpants because
Oh,
I'm wearing
oh,
shorts. But I
okay.
was wearing sweatpants, and then I was doing my makeup, and I have this one liquid blush. And I opened it and spilled it all over my pants. So that was great.
Okay, okay.
So I'm going
So,
to do laundry after this. It was really like, oh, you don't have any sweatpants left. Now you have to go do laundry.
yeah, I got it. So, I mean, I'm wearing a nice shirt, and yes, I'm wearing leggings on the bottom because that's
Well,
what
and
we
that's
do
what
these
everyone is
days.
doing in the work events. In my, not to get off track again, but
Yeah,
in my
I know.
business of fashion class, we were talking about some suit company. I forget the name, but how their sales are going down because like people are on the tops now.
Yeah.
They don't need the pants. They just need the blazer on top. So we're talking about ways to innovate that. So like jackets that look good and like are very comfortable, but just for when you're sitting on Zoom. Um,
I mean, it's brilliant actually
what
because,
people need.
yeah, I mean the world has changed, right? And we've
Mhm.
realized that you can be comfortable while you work. You don't have to wear 6-inch heels, and some people still choose to do that, and that's their
And
choice,
that's
but
totally
like,
fine.
yeah.
But
But
the world should change too, to make sure that, not that introverts, I feel like introverts do need to be more included rather than like, oh, you're the odd one out because you'd rather stay on your computer, but you're still getting socializing in. Like
yeah.
Noah
So
sits on his computer, he's still talking to his
yeah,
friends.
he's still making friends. So, I read a statistics the other day, which I just did a board training in New Jersey about how to tell your story. And one of the statistics I read, because one of the things we're going to talk about is how to have a conversation when you don't feel comfortable. Like, how do you, instead of asking the basics, like figuring out how to broaden, so you actually learn something about the person that you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But the statistic was that 93% of people who go to an event feel shy. Okay, first of all, I thought that was pretty shocking, but then I thought about it. I was like, okay, kind of makes sense. And then, of course, someone said to me that 63% of statistics are actually made up. But supposedly, this one isn't made up, that people you know, especially now, it's hard to go to an event and put yourself out there. So, one of the things I did with this group is something called a conversation stack, which was from a guy, Dale Carnegie, um, How to Meet Friends and Influence People. A visionary way before his time, like the 1930s.
I actually know
And
this book.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so, but he created what he called a conversation stack so that when you go to an event, you're not asking the basic questions, which honestly, what is the first question usually someone asks you?
Hmm. What's your job?
Okay, what do you do? And the other
Yeah.
question is, how are you? Hi,
Yeah.
how are you? Okay, how are you is like a can of worms. Most people are not going to answer it truthfully. They're going to say, I'm fine. And I've told you this before. What does fine mean? Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Okay. When you,
I've actually never heard you say that acronym, but that's
okay,
fantastic. I
right?
love that.
So, you know, when you ask someone how they are, like be expecting an answer that is either you ask the question because you really want to know. If you don't really want to know, don't ask that question because you're
Mm.
opening a can of worms. So, if you're going to ask me how I am, I'm going to either give you the I'm doing great because I am doing great. Or if you ask me that question on a really crappy day, I'm going to tell you exactly what my crappy day is. And for a lot of people, they really didn't want that answer. They just were saying it because they didn't know what else to ask me. So, you know, and it's funny, but I love that acronym, the fine acronym,
That's
because
so
it
funny.
is really true. You think like majority of the people, especially now, so many people are struggling with mental illness and insecurity and in so many aspects of their life. And so you ask them how they are. If they say they're fine, they're not fine. If they say they're great, maybe they're great. If you really want to know, you ask them and you wait for them to share their story.
Yeah. And for a lot of people that are feeling this way, how are you is one of those questions that's like they're not genuinely asking how you are doing. And so you don't feel comfortable enough because you don't want to trauma dump or just get all emotional on people that aren't wanting to hear that. And then if they are wanting to hear that, there's kind of this line where it's like you don't know what they actually want.
Yeah. And so when I first heard about this conversation stack, I'm going to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Jamie, who did a board training in Sarasota. And I hadn't really heard about this before. And it was, it was really eye opening because it really makes you think about the questions that you're asking, really being intentional. Like, I know a lot of times we go to an event and we're like, stay away from me. We don't want to meet anybody. But you got to remember that everybody has a story and you never know who you're going to meet. I mean, I met my closest friends in my mid 40s. I mean, who does that happen to, right? You meet your friends when you go on the playground. Do you want to be my friend? And on the playground, people are like, oh, yeah, I want to be your friend, or little kids are. But not in your mid 40s. In your mid 40s, people are like, stay back. So for me, I think asking intentional questions where you really want to know the answers makes such a difference. And so, this conversation stack, like it starts with that you introduce yourself. So when you go to an event and you see someone standing there shyly, as 93% of people claim to be, you go up and you introduce yourself, right? I mean, you're already there. You made the step to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
now, like, move it forward. And then ask questions like, you know, the next step is, so there's a whole thing where you picture a nameplate. Okay, the nameplate has your name on it. It's inviting you over there. So you go over there and you introduce yourself, and then you look at, this is like walking down the street and you see a house. What kind of house is it? So it's just to remind yourself of these things. So, okay, a purple colonial house, just throwing it out there. So now
Okay.
you have your nameplate and a purple colonial house. And then from there on the patio of the house, and I do this with movement. So you do all kinds of stuff, but since we're going to be on a, you know, only certain people are going to see the video and most people are going to hear the podcast. I'm not going to do movements with it because that would be kind of awkward. But then so there's a family standing on the patio. It's a grandmother, a grandfather, a mom, a dad, a baby, you know, a dog, a cat,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And then the next thing is you go into the house, and on they invite you into the house, and on the table right inside the door there's a picture of the family doing something athletic. What are they doing? Just throw something out there. What are they doing?
They are riding their bikes.
Okay, they're riding their bikes, riding their bikes, riding their bikes. Okay, and next to that picture, there's a model airplane. Model airplane. So, and then they invite you to sit at their table, and on their table is a bowl of passion fruit. Okay, passion fruit. So, and then before you leave, the grandmother hands you a bouquet of roses, and it's to say thank you. So when you go back through all the steps, and this is the abbreviated version, but basically the first step is you see the nameplate, you introduce yourself. Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is. The next step is really saying, where do you live? Where are you from? And for so many people, that can build such a huge connection because you never know who you're going to meet, right? Like, and
Mhm.
there's this geography piece where all of a sudden you have a connection. My biggest connection is when I say I'm from Sarasota, everybody says, "Oh, my grandmother lives in
Yeah.
Sarasota." I was like, "Okay, I'm not your grandmother, but yes, lots of grandmothers live in Sarasota." And then the family on the patio. You never want to ask somebody, "Do you have kids or are you married?" But you can ask questions like, "Where is your family from?" Where were you born? Anything like that. I had a friend one time say to someone, "Hey, I heard you just got divorced." I was like, that is not a question that you ask people.
Ooh,
So being
wrong
really
statement.
right, being really sensitive to the questions that you ask. And then, obviously the picture of the family doing something athletic that really goes back to, what do you like to do for fun? So asking the questions, what do you like to do for fun? And you might find a connection there. And then obviously the airplane, what do you think the airplane stands for?
Travel.
Travel. Okay. Where do you like to travel? Where have you been recently? And then sitting it down at the table with the passion fruit. The passion fruit stands for, what are you passionate about? What do you know, what makes you excited about things? Like, what do you love to do? And then the last thing is obviously when you finish talking with a person, it's about thanking them for their time. So understanding that like you went through all these steps and asked them these questions, and you'll be amazed when you start asking really intentional questions, the responses that you get and how connected you can be after one conversation.
Hmm. That's honestly, I like that a lot.
You would
I
like
think
it even more.
people,
You would like it even more if I did the movements with it because it would make you
mm,
laugh. That's a video for just Facebook or something. Yeah.
okay, we'll try that out. I just think people are a little bit afraid to start genuine conversations because of this fear of rejection a little bit as well. Um, but most people are just looking for a friend. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that's not open to meeting new friends.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you come to an event, you're there because you feel like you should be there or you want to be there, or maybe your friend forced you to be there, whatever it is. But you don't want to stand there awkwardly by yourself. I can tell you, I've walked into many events by myself over the years, and I'm like, who am I going to find to talk to? And I look for the other person that might be standing there by themselves, or I look for a couple of people who are standing there talking, and I join in the conversation. And maybe that first step is like a tough one, but it always is worth it. And like I joined this women's organization the end of last year, and just jumped into it by myself. It is not something you can tell them. It is not something that I would
No,
typically do, right? Not at all.
not at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. But I've found a lot of fulfillment from it because I'm meeting new people that I would have never met in any other realm. And I'm really expanding friendships and learning how to kind of navigate these kind of difficult social situations that I shied away from for so long. I mean, I would tell you that how many times did, Rob go to events without me because I'm like, I'm good. I think I just want to stay home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
would
to,
say a
yeah,
good amount.
yeah. So I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. And this has really helped me and really being intentional about what I'm asking and not just asking, how are you? Because even after someone answers, if they just say fine, where are you going from there?
Yeah,
Right? Like you got no traction. You're right back at the beginning again. So really thinking about asking intentional questions can really help, and it makes the other people feel like you're interested in what they have to say as well. It's not just about you, it's about the other person.
absolutely. But back to my original point though. Don't go out
Yeah.
if you don't want to go out.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to go, then don't force yourself to go. I mean, trust me, there are times when it's in our work lives where
Huh.
we do have to go and we do have to socialize. And so this event that I went, this board training that I did last weekend, I was invited to go to this event the night before. And I was like, yeah, of course I'll go. And I knew no, well, I knew one person, the person that brought me, but I didn't know anybody else really. And I was it was very interesting to see there was one person out of all of the people that I met that asked me authentic questions. Everybody else did the typical, how are you? How are you? Oh, you're here for this. Okay, great. And I realized that I had to start doing the asking because they weren't going to do it. And then I
Hmm.
had some really great conversations. But it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there and feel comfortable, especially if you're not the extrovert. And I really wonder what an extrovert actually means, right?
Well, it's someone that gets their energy from hanging out with other people, and an introvert gets their energy from themselves.
So when you're an extrovert, do you feel like I mean, you don't know because you're not an extrovert, but do you feel like that you already are equipped with everything to make all that happen, or do you feel like everything has to be intentional for extroverts as well?
I think things have to be intentional for everybody. I was listening to a podcast recently talking about how even extroverts, they plan out what conversations they are going to have.
Mm,
And I don't think that's like a weird or bad thing, because no one wants to have like the lull or the awkward moment in a conversation. And granted, like that's just like a silly thing. No one is truly thinking about that like 20 years from now. Oh my gosh, I had an awkward pause with so and so at that so and so
yeah,
event.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that extroverts, everything still does have to be intentional.
I think when I look back at stuff, you don't remember those awkward conversations, at least most of the time. I actually don't think I remember any of them, but I do remember the conversations that were amazing conversations that started from, an intentional question where I'm like, oh, this person's really interesting. I want to be able to share their story more, or I want to know more about their story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know if I can look back and say, okay, that was really awkward. I mean, we talked last week about our embarrassing moments, but those things I remember. But the conversations that were like that fizzled, I don't think I really remember those at all.
No,
Yeah.
I've started to think of life as gaining connections, whether that
Mm.
be friends or just, people on LinkedIn. Um, very important for my, still don't
Yes.
have an internship, so
Yeah.
just to keep
Plug
you
it,
guys
plug it,
updated.
plug it.
Um, but and people, they love to talk about themselves, and they love to talk about what they're genuinely interested in. So maybe the conversation won't start with, oh, how are you? I'm fine, but it will be, how, like, what did you do today that like made you happy? Or
Yeah.
just, a question like that. It doesn't have to be so intense, but I will tell you, people love to talk about themselves. I mean, I love to talk about myself.
Well, that's why the conversation stack really works because you're asking them to tell all these details about their lives. And then they're like, oh, wait, this person is really interested in what I have to say. So I'm going to keep going. Whereas a how are you question, it doesn't show any interest in what this person has to do in their life. So, yeah, agreed. I mean, people love to talk about themselves and you get them going. And sometimes it's hard to make them stop. But again, you can learn something from everyone you meet. And that's why I always love doing the things where I'm sitting at the airport bar and I start a conversation with the person next to me or on the airplane. Some of my best conversations. I mean, there's times like I got to feel it though. Like there's times where I'll get on the plane, I'll be like, I just need to chill. But other times I'm like, I know this person is going to be really interesting. So I want to start a conversation with them. And I have had multiple hours of conversations with random people on an airplane and learning their stories. And it's been like very impactful for me. But you got
Yeah.
to feel it. You got to feel it. Like, right? Like and that's what I worry about. Like, not your generation, but even younger than you. Like, their ability to have a conversation, so much of what they do is over text. And like, you don't even see them wanting to even answer the phone. So their friend calls and they'll be like, deny or decline. And then they text them. I'm like, do you know how to talk? So, I mean, I guess that's a social pressure for them because they're so used to texting and sending photos and whatever, all the stuff you guys, younger
Yeah.
than you, but you do too. But, all
Yeah.
those things,
It's definitely an interesting world, and I guess we'll see what to come. But my little advice slash tip for the day is that if you're scared of talking on the phone, what really has helped me is I put it on speaker.
Mm.
I don't know why, but it instantly makes, like, whether it's a doctor's call or just talking to my parents, makes the call 10 times easier for me.
Wait, you're scared of talking to us? What are you
You know,
talking about?
sometimes, well, not you guys. I guess, I guess not my parents, but
I was like, what?
who do I do that to? When I'm ordering like
Yeah.
anything, I put it on speaker.
Yeah.
I put you on speaker, but that's usually because I'm doing something.
Yeah. You're usually cooking or something. But
I know.
yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really interesting strategy because it's something that your sister also has struggled with for a really long. She's gotten much better, but the idea of having to call someone was like out of her comfort zone. Even going up to order food was out of her comfort zone, and maybe fail on me as a parent that I did so much that you guys didn't have to deal with that. But, that's part of real life. You have to go out there. And obviously now we have Instacart and we have Uber Eats and we have all these
Hmm.
things where you don't actually have to have human connections. But
Hmm.
human connections are what really drives the world and what moves you forward in your job and moves you forward in your friendships and allows you to see the world from different perspectives. And if everything you do is through an app and you're just clicking things, like how do you expect to expand that? You gotta, it's good to be uncomfortable, right? It's important that we push ourselves so that we are uncomfortable because that's the way we grow.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are you doing to push yourself to be uncomfortable?
Um,
I mean, I
I'm
joined this women's group, so
I'm meeting with the professor today after putting it off forever because I really didn't want to talk about this issue. It's for my capstone project, so my senior thesis, and I'm finally meeting with her. And that's not in my comfort zone.
yeah. But it's things we have to do, right? So the first
Mm-hmm.
step is making the decision to make that happen. And once
Mm-hmm.
you're there, you have no problem talking with people. Like you are like, if people didn't know that you struggled with it, they would just say, oh no, she's an extrovert because you are super social and you love to talk, but it's finding the right people to talk with. So you got to push yourself outside of that comfort zone to make sure that you can talk to anybody. And I have to do that too. And even at my age, that it is still a hard thing to go to an event and put myself out there, or not even an event, but in a small group where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, how do I start this conversation? So it's just we all are working on these things. It's not you, it's not me, it's everybody. Like it's something that we all deal with all of the time. And but it's important that we talk about these things so that we understand that we are not alone. Like the things that we struggle with, there's not one person that doesn't struggle with something, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so understanding that, I think for a long time I thought like, oh, I'm the only one that struggles with this, or I'm the only one that struggles with that. And that's not reality. But until you have a conversation with someone, you don't realize that they're struggling too. And the ability to help each other because, you might be struggling with similar issues, it's always worth the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
It was really a pep talk for myself because I don't want to go out this weekend. I have an accounting exam on Tuesday, um, and not ignoring the accounting exam, I didn't want to go out anyways. So
are you going?
absolutely not. I have an accounting exam.
Oh, so so this didn't pep talk you at all?
Well, a pep talk means you're realizing because they're not events that are necessary and for me to be at.
Well,
And
I mean, I did invite you to when I'm coming out there, and
oh,
in two
yeah, and
weekends, I invited you to an event that a friend said, "Oh, bring Olivia," and you instantly said yes. You didn't hesitate, and it's all. I mean, I guess we're gonna be there, but it's all like random people that she doesn't know. So,
mhm,
but yeah, you didn't hesitate on that one, so that was good.
yeah, I just know what I like to do and know what I don't like to do,
Yeah,
and I think that's the most important thing.
yeah, and again, it's important to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, but also if you really don't want to do something, like, why do you have to? You don't like, but it doesn't mean sit home by yourself all the time. Doesn't
Mm,
absolutely doesn't mean that. It's making choices that I always say that it's important to ask yourself what you want. Not don't tell yourself that you can't do something, but ask yourself if you want to do it. And that goes back to almost everything that we do in our lives, because I think instantly we think that, oh, if we struggle socially, oh, we can't go to that event because I might not have anybody to talk to. But I really think the question is asking yourself, do you want to go? And if you want to go, then you're going to figure out how to make it happen. It's taking that first step and moving yourself forward.
yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, so this weekend you're just staying home and you're studying.
Well, we are having a Super Bowl get together on Sunday.
Ah,
So
okay, so that's
people are
something.
coming over.
Okay,
But I will be studying majority of the weekend, hopefully. I want to ace this.
good for you. That's, I mean, she asked me, what was it, 2 years ago? She asked
Yeah,
me to help her with an accounting test or like
yeah.
study for an
Yeah,
accounting
nothing.
test. I knew nothing, and I'm a CPA. Like, I don't practice, but I was like, I have no idea the answer to these questions. I was like, go look it up. Yeah, I mean, so life has changed a little bit since I took my CPA exam when I was 20 years old. So your age, yeah, that's how old I was when I took it.
Oh,
So yeah,
oh,
and I
okay.
passed it. I passed it. Like
Congrats.
4 sections. You had to get a 75 to pass each section. And I got 75, 75, 75, 78. And I was like, oh, I'm an overachiever in one section. I studied way too hard for that section because I got more, 3 points over what I needed.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I know. I know. But the sad part is I really haven't used it much, but so I can't even help you with your class because it's beyond my comfort zone for that.
Mm,
I
it's okay.
tried.
I'll
I tried.
study. I'll
I
figure
tried.
it out.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. You have a friend that will help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah, so I mean, we're going to Mexico. That's what we're doing. So,
Ooh.
I don't think I'm going to meet new people. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I will meet new people while we're there.
Why
I'm
not?
I'm hoping the kids will, it's this it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and they're all freaking out. We have to hang out with each other. I'm like, okay. That's like when Millie said that you're going to surprise me, right? You're going to show up, Olivia. And
No,
so
I wish. Like I
I
would
know.
love to be in the sun right now.
Uh,
Unfortunately, I cannot be.
yeah, you're just going to use your little sun lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Sad.
works.
It works
Um,
for now.
but we'll see. We'll see if they'll like go out of their comfort zone to talk to other. Ari's usually pretty good about that when we go to like different places. He ends up because you know where he connects? He connects through sports. So someone will be playing
Yeah.
basketball and he'll jump in and play basketball. Um, Noah will talk to anybody. If he's in the pool or something, he'll like,
That's
sometimes he'll
true.
he'll come back with all kinds of kids and I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool. Millie tends to be a little bit more standoffish. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of mother-daughter bonding on this
Which
trip.
is
So
fantastic.
I know I'm really excited for it. And when she was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. I'm like, you get to hang out with me. What do you mean? How is this going to go? You're going to have a great time. We are going to have an amazing time. And we're doing really cool things. We are going to swim with whale sharks. We
Jealous.
are going to see the right whales in Magdalena Bay. I didn't know anything about these whales before, but they're like very endangered. There's only like a few hundred left in the
Oh,
world.
that's
So
kind of dope. Then.
yeah, right? Like that's a really cool experience. So, and Millie's like, yeah, the experiences are going to be great. But what if when we're just at the hotel? I'm like, girl, there are like 6 pools, there are water slides, there's the beach. Okay, I think you're going to find
She's
stuff
so
to do.
nervous. It's okay.
I
She's
know.
so
She's
nervous to me.
nervous. It's the social anxiety piece of like having to, how am I going to meet other people? And so it affects all of us, just
Yeah.
proof that there's not one of us that doesn't struggle with things. So,
Okay. I
okay.
don't. When are we going next?
So I think we're skipping next week and then we're going to start back after that. And then in March, we're going to be going every week for your
Awesome.
enjoyment. We're going to have lots of stuff. We're going to start bringing on a few guests to discuss beyond what we discuss. And yeah, so if you're listening, like this podcast, share it with your friends. We're
Follow
going to
us
have
on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. And, and we also have personal handles. I'm author Simone Canego, and
I'm just Olivia Canego, I
she's
think.
just Olivia Canego.
Well, don't
But
add
if
the
you,
Dustin Fest. That my Instagram won't pop up then.
yeah, exactly. And I think honestly, Olivia Canego, you're the only Olivia Canego in the world. I am the
That
only
I can say for a fact.
yes, and I am the only Simone Canego in the world. So if you want to find us, you can find us.
Definitely.
But we'd
Not
love to
hidden.
hear, yeah, we would love to hear back from you on what you like, what you want to hear more of, and thanks so much for joining us. Again,
Absolutely.
the Daughter Dearest podcast, authentic mother-daughter conversations. We love to talk about the things you're thinking inside your head, and maybe it's hard to talk about. So that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. I'll see you
Have
guys
a
next time.
Yeah, see you guys next time. Have a great day.